All right, y'all, what's going on? GoofyRhexxi here, and hope everybody is doing well. And wanted to kind of talk about this topic here today. So we got some really exciting news, right? We got two new characters going to be coming to Marvel Strike Force. They're going to be a part of this A-Force team. So we got Spider-Woman, and then we have Nico. They're supposed to be coming in the 6.1 patch. We're going to be the part of A-Force, and then we got two new character reworks, or two old character reworks. So for CM and then also for Jessica Jones, I'm actually pretty excited about it, right? I'm pretty excited about being able to get these characters in the game, and also as well being able to get the rework for CM and Jessica Jones. I don't really use those characters anymore, or let's be real, I don't use them anymore unless I'm going through a blitz rotation. So it's good to kind of get some reworks to them. A little bittersweet. It's a little bittersweet for me though, because She-Hulk is not getting the rework to be a part of the A-Force team. So I'm a little hurt. I'm a little hurt by it, but either way, we will move on. We will continue to keep on the fight. But I really wanted to talk about this here, where we've been talking about bottlenecks in Marvel Strike Force, and the bottlenecks that we've been saying are, hey, Teal gear is a bottleneck. There's not enough Teal gear, and I want to be able to start Dark Dimension 5 and get my Dormammu. When in reality, while that is true, what I'm starting to see right now develop is a much larger bottleneck, which is our G14s and our G15s, because indeed, in order for you to be able to get to G16, you need to bring your characters up to G14 and G15 first. And this year we know is going to be a massively big year, right? We got these legendary horseman characters, but in the interim of that, we're also getting these other teams that are kind of setting things up, right? So we got the Dark Hunter team, and we said, okay, well, maybe this team is skippable or shelvable because we don't necessarily need them right now. But then we found out, oh man, we actually need them for the Scourge event. And I was a little bit on the fence about that, whether or not you actually needed Dark Hunters for the Scourge event. And you kind of don't at certain levels in the Scourge event, but at the same time, you kind of do if you want to be able to put up some high numbers, because you will need them to at least be a sacrifice team or be able to use Dr. Voodoo. And now with this A-Force team, which is going to be a four-person team, there's probably a possibility, right, that A-Force is most likely going to have to be used for another Scourge event, maybe the next Scourge that is going to be released, next Legendary Horseman that's going to be released in Marvel Strike Force, probably in the next patch. That's probably when we're going to have to use this new A-Force team. It's just kind of shaping up that that's going to be the case. So right now, for me personally, Teal gear, yeah, it's a bottleneck, but you know what's a bigger bottleneck? Our G14s and G15s. And I pulled this up right now, right before I started doing this video here, and I, went use the bot from MSF.gg and try to calculate how much gear I will need to bring my CM from gear tier 12 all the way up to gear tier 15, because this is going to be a war offense team. And it looks like the way that their kits are sort of slated right now, that they're probably going to be able to at least, they might be able to counter Heroes for Hire. They might be able to counter Young Avengers. I'm saying might because there's some stuff in there, the trauma, they can do some stuff, but it's always about, oh, this is what they intend for it to do, but will it actually do it the way that we want them to do it? We're going to have to see, right? But pulled up, then try to do some calculations. Okay, this is where I have my Captain Marvel right now, and in order for me to be able to get her up to an adequate level, because for me, where I'm at in war right now, it's G14 or bust, and ideally you probably want G15, because I'm starting to see some G16 teams on war defense now, where I kind of need G15 to be able to beat those teams. And if we're talking about Heroes for Hire and Young Avengers, you definitely are going to want to build up some characters to be a little bit higher, to be able to face those opponents. But I looked at everything here and I was like, okay, so we got, and maybe you guys can't see this, so I'll zoom in a little bit, right? So it's okay, there's just 72 of the G15 pieces, there's 450 of the origin gear, there's 75 of the G14s and the G15s. Oh my goodness, like look at all the origin gear. You're like, okay, 225 is not that bad, 450 is not that bad, but then you also are going to need the same amount for JJ, right? Actually, to a certain extent, you need a little bit more. Well, you need about the same for JJ. And then Spider-Woman is also a bio character as well. So you're going to need some bio gear, right, for Spider-Woman. And then, of course, JJ is also molecular cloth, or the same unique, right, that Shang-Chi takes. So it's like they're kind of forcing us right now to it's like they're creating these scarcities for us. We just saw this with Darkhold. You had to invest into Darkhold. If you wanted to invest into Darkhold or to get Morgan Le Fay, you kind of had to sort of somewhat invest into Dark Hunters. You kind of ate away a little bit at your Mystic gear. Nico's gonna be a Mystic character. Hello. And then of course that we got Spider-Woman, who's a bio character. And then it looks, based on the other two silhouettes, that we could be getting 2 other mutant characters. We don't know. So right now in the game, we're just starting to see where they're really kind of, I'm just saying, prepare, because they're starting right now to sort of really kind of bleed away at some of the resources that, and they're basically, the way they're shaping these things up to be is that right now they want to make sure that you can kind of burn through these resources faster than you can kind of replenish them, right? You can replenish it, but not as fast as you're going to have to be able to bleed through it if you want to be able to compete in the higher content. And that's a little bit unfortunate, but also probably a wise way for them to do their marketing, right? Because otherwise, then players would think that things are skippable if it didn't make teams required to be able to do Scourge events. Then ultimately, you probably wouldn't try to invest into those teams. So how do you try to alleviate the stress of that? How do you try to go about, I didn't even see this, by the way, you need 2,220 of the, what is this, SBCs in order to be, that's per character. Oh my God, 2,220 per character. So you can imagine that, right? But how do you go about trying to alleviate this bottleneck? It's really challenging. I think the best thing that you can probably do is making sure that you're marking down these nodes. So I have a little bit of a spreadsheet that I keep intact here, and I usually write down. So for a long time, for Mystic pieces, I know, okay, well, every morning when I wake up, I'm want to make sure that I'm farming Doom 4.8 because that's where that Mystic G15 is, and I would go to Doom 3.8 because that's where that Mystic, this Mystic geode is at, right? Which I need to farm, which I didn't even farm today, but because I've shifted now where I'm kind of farming a little bit, some other stuff, right? But I knew that Mystic 3.8 was where that was at. I knew that also Mystic 2.8 or Doom 2.8 was where we had some other pieces that were there that I wanted to farm, Mystic 1.5. So it's kind of one of those situations where you kind of just got to be smart to just kind of farm the G14s every single day, because otherwise you're going to be running short of these pieces. One of the things that I do on a regular basis is whenever I do inventory checks. I usually jump into the raid store and I will pull up one of the orbs here, and actually, sorry, the war store. I'll pull up the war store. I'll go into the orange gear war orb and I'll start clicking on some of these pieces. I'm not doing it right. So where the G14 pieces, right? So I usually pop in. I'll click on wherever the G14s are, right? And I'll start like clicking on those pieces and say, okay, well, this is where I'm short of this gear. This is where I'm short of that gear. And then I'll write that down and I'll say, okay, well, I need to make this. Here it is. I'll click on this pieces of gear, click on that piece of gear, and I'll see whatever I have that's below basically 250. Because I know that 250 is usually kind of like a safe place to go to be able to get maybe 4 new characters up. I'll click on these orbs. I'll go through and I'm like, okay, let's click on that. Let's see what I'm short. Okay, right now I'm short. I'm at 196 molecular scan. I'm at 242 marrow extract. So now I'm going to make sure that I take inventory check of wherever these nodes are, and I'm farming those on a regular, consistent basis to make sure that I'm staying a little bit ahead of that, right? Making sure that if I do, I have a sort of so I don't really want to open up too many elite war orbs or use this credit to open up any of these, but if I do get a little short, and I'll make sure that I pop one of these orbs just to make sure that I am at least accumulating some of it. So my goal for me is that I don't want to get below 75k. So once I do get to like 80k or something of this, I'll probably pop open like 5 of these orbs and then get some extra pieces that I do need. But otherwise, realistically, it's going to be pretty hard to kind of stay on top of it. So really, you're going to have to start doing your inventory checks, your roster checks, to make sure that you have the pieces that you need. And if you don't have those pieces, whatever's below 250, because I think 250 is a safe mark to be at to invest into like 4 characters that you need to bring up to G14 or G15. I think that's a safe place to go. And then once you do that, I think that it will help out a little bit that's where it comes to this new gear, this new teams, or these new characters that get reworked, you might be able to stay a little bit on top of it. But wanted to talk about it because I thought it was a good subject to discuss here, where, you know, really the Teal gear is one thing, but it's really kind of these new teams that they're releasing right now, the necessity that you have to have in order to be able to get those teams, and then of course trying to keep on top of the gear. It's going to be really challenging this year, especially with all these legendary teams coming out, right? So listen, want to know what your guys' thoughts are on the entirety of this thing here. Where do you sit right now? Are you concerned about this? Do you feel like you're prepared for it? Is there a strategy that you implement to make sure that you are ready for things like this? I want to know. Leave it in the comments, guys. Want to hear about it. But listen, until next time, guys, y'all be blessed and y'all be safe. All right, y'all. Bye.